Picture this. In just 19 seconds of live television, a single moment is about to shatter everything America thought it knew about hunger, power, and the cost of silence. A 72-year-old grandmother in West Virginia scrapes burnt crust off bread to feed her diabetic grandson after 11 meatless days, while across the country, powerful men laugh at policies that empty cupboards. But what you're about to hear next will leave a nation gasping and a president with nowhere to hide. The red tally light blinks live. A CNN town hall in Des Moines roars to life under blazing white lights, cameras sliding like hunting hawks across a room thick with expectation. The banner reads food and freedom, but nobody knows they're about to witness something that will redefine both words forever. Donald Trump steps to the lectern with the confidence of a man who owns every room before he enters it. America has never been stronger, he declares, his voice smooth as glass. Unemployment low, wages up, people eating better than ever. The applause cracks open hesitantly, spreading in ripples across an audience that includes veterans in caps stitched with ship names, farmers with soil still under their nails, and a mother holding her boy close, his hoodie sleeves swallowing his small hands. But backstage, something's brewing that's about to change everything. Jasmine Crockett stands under a tangle of steel rigging, her phone buzzing with a message that makes her jaw tighten. One of my students fainted from hunger during class. Breakfast was crackers. Lunch was water. She reads it twice, the sound of the crowd beyond the curtain suddenly feeling distant. In her other hand, she clutches a brown paper bag, crinkled from being held too tight. This isn't a prop. It's proof. Inside that bag is a plastic fork and a meager handful of food that had to last a child the entire day. A pantry volunteer had cried while giving it to her, and now Jasmine keeps it close like evidence in a trial that's about to begin. The curtain lifts. Stage lights hit like a sudden sun. As Jasmine steps forward, Trump's smile doesn't falter, but his eyes narrow almost imperceptibly. The moderator introduces her as Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett from Texas, and she sets the bag down, letting the mic pick up its soft complaint. She pauses just long enough to make everyone wonder what happens when a nation's rosy numbers meet a child's empty lunch. Let's talk about your America, Mr. President. The room stills. Cameras zoom in. Her voice is steady, calm. But there's something underneath it that makes the silence wrap around her words like barbed wire. In Tulsa, there's a pantry that's been open for 22 years. 2 weeks ago, it closed its doors. Not because the shelves were empty, but because the funding was gone. 300 families turn away in one afternoon. Trump leans back, lips curling into that familiar smirk, the kind that says he's untouchable. Those are personal failures, not federal ones. But Jasmine doesn't blink. She leans in slightly, as if closing the distance makes her words sharper. Tell that to the single mom who stood in that line with 2 kids. Tell it to the veteran in a wheelchair who rolled away without a single can of food. Can you believe this is happening? The tension in that room is so thick you could cut it with a knife. She continues, her eyes never leaving Trump's face. I walked through that pantry the day it closed. The smell of dust was already stronger than the smell of bread. Outside, a line of people wrapped around the block. Some stood there for 4 hours only to be told there was nothing left for them. Someone in the crowd exhales loudly. Caught by a nearby mic, Trump shrugs again. But the smirk is tighter now. That's not on me. That's on them. And this is where it gets absolutely insane. Jasmine straightens, not looking at him this time, but at the audience. You hear that? That's the sound of responsibility leaving the room. She picks up that brown paper bag, holding it up so every camera catches every crease. This bag came from a little girl in that Tulsa line. She asked me if I could keep it safe. You know why? Her voice sharpens on the last word. Because it's the only lunch she had all week, and she didn't want anyone to take it. The bag hangs in the air for a beat too long. Every eye in the room follows it. That's not a personal failure. That's a system failing on purpose. But wait until you hear what she does next. Jasmine doesn't lower the bag. Instead, she reaches inside. The mic catches a soft rustle of paper as she pulls out a packet of crackers, half crushed, and a single banana with speckled brown skin and a bruised top. This is what a child in Ohio brought for lunch last week. The reaction is instant. Sharp intakes of breath ripple through the crowd. On screens across America, the close-up of that bruised banana fills living rooms. This wasn't for a field trip. This wasn't for a day out. This was lunch, and dinner was nothing. Her hand tightens slightly on the bag. Trump's jaw flexes. His smirk is completely gone now. When I asked the teacher why, she said the cafeteria stopped giving seconds after the budget cuts. That means if you're still hungry, too bad. Try again tomorrow. Little did anyone know, this was just the beginning. Jasmine lowers a banana onto the lectern like evidence in a trial. Now tell me, how do you explain this to a 10-year-old? How do you look them in the eye and tell them they don't get more food because their state fell on the wrong side of the spreadsheet? She doesn't wait for an answer. Don't tell me it's a local issue. Don't tell me it's bad parenting. And don't tell me America is eating better than ever when this is what's in a child's lunch bag. The room is dead quiet except for the hum of lights overhead. Even the cameras seem to hold still. Then Jasmine asks the question that's about to break everyone's heart. How do you explain to a child that dinner is a political casualty? But what happens next will absolutely shock you. The image on the big screen flickers, then sharpens to show a small kitchen with faded wallpaper and a single light above the table. Ruth Langley sits there, 72 years old with slightly hunched shoulders, but her eyes meet the lens without flinching. Mrs. Langley, can you tell us about your last week? The old woman nods once, her voice soft but steady. I haven't eaten meat in 11 days. I'm saving what I have for my grandson. The feed cuts briefly to a photo of her grandson, about 12, smiling weakly beside a birthday cake with sugar-free frosting. He's diabetic, Ruth says, wiping the corner of one eye. Meat helps him keep his strength, so I make do without. Her voice cracks on the last word. When Jasmine asks if she feels forgotten, Ruth looks down at her hands. The satellite delay makes the pause feel eternal. Then she lifts her head, eyes glistening, and says without trembling, I feel erased. The words land like stones hitting the floor, like I was written down somewhere once, but someone decided they didn't need me anymore, so they crossed me out. Are you kidding me? This is heartbreaking, but it gets even more intense, because Jasmine isn't done. She reaches under the lectern and lifts a thick folder, its edges worn from too many hands. Since we're talking about being erased, let's talk about the warehouses. She opens it and holds up a page with USDA letterhead, black and white tables, a map dotted with red X's. This is a leaked USDA internal report. 14 food distribution, warehouses decommissioned in the past 12 months, all in red states, all after private meetings with lobbyists. Trump's head snaps up. Fake. I never saw that document. Without breaking eye contact, Jasmine flips to another section. The sound of paper turning is loud in the mic. Page 17. She holds it up for the cameras. And at the bottom, a bold, unmistakable signature. Your signature, dated July 18th. The room freezes. The close-up fills screens across the country. Trump's name in dark ink, clear as a fingerprint. So, Mr. President, are you saying you signed documents without reading them, or that you forgot closing 14 warehouses that fed thousands of families? This is where the whole thing explodes. Trump opens his mouth, then shuts it again. His hand presses flat against the desk, knuckles pale. But Jasmine keeps going, and what she reveals next will make your jaw drop. She pulls out another folder, stamped in bold red. Internal Revenue Service. Confidential audit. We've talked about hunger. Now, let's talk about where the money went. She opens it to a single page with numbers that glow under the lights. An IRS audit shows that $1.2 billion, money originally budgeted for food programs, was redirected to infrastructure enhancements at federal golf resorts and Trump-owned venues. The room reacts in gasps and stunned laughs of disbelief. Someone says, no way, but Jasmine doesn't look up. Her gaze is locked on Trump. Mr. President, how do you tell a mother she can't have milk for a child, then spend her tax dollars making sure your golf greens stay perfectly cut? She flips the page so cameras can zoom in on budget codes and transaction dates. $480 million to resurface hospitality pathways. Your staff calls them cart paths. Another $310 million to facility upgrades, which includes marble in the clubhouse bathrooms, all while pantries close and school cafeterias cut lunch portions in half. Can you believe this? But wait, it gets even crazier. Jasmine pulls out a small black device, a portable speaker already cued. Numbers are one thing, but I want you to hear how those numbers sound when people think the cameras are off. She presses play. Ice clinking in glasses. Faint music. Then a man's voice, smooth and smug. Snap cuts paid for the Palm Beach expansion. Best decision he made all term. You should see the new cart paths. Pristine. The words land like stones in still water. Trump raises his voice to drown it out. This is totally out of context. But Jasmine simply lifts her hand, palm outward. Let the country hear where their meals went. The donor's voice comes again, clearer this time. When you cut food stamps, you're just trimming fat. But you can do a lot with that kind of budget. New suites, new kitchens. Whole place looks like a 5-star resort now. And then comes a line that makes everyone gasp. You'd be amazed what you can build when you stop feeding people who don't vote for you. The sentence lands like a gut punch. Audible gasps and angry whispers ripple through the audience. Jasmine turns off the speaker and sets it on the lectern like evidence in a trial. That's not a budget strategy. That's contempt served with champagne. But the most powerful moment is yet to come. From the middle rows, a tall man in a faded ball cap rises slowly. His hands are rough, his face weathered. He doesn't wait for a mic. I voted for you, sir. Twice. And now my wife is skipping meals, so our boy can eat. His voice isn't loud, but it's raw. She's saying what we're too tired to scream. Soybeans barely cover the diesel to plant them now. Snap's gone. Pantry's running dry. Nearest full grocery store an hour away. I thought voting for you meant we'd get taken care of. He looks back at Jasmine. Keep talking. Don't stop. Some of us can't find the breath anymore. This moment right here, this is when you realize this isn't just politics anymore. This is real life, real pain, real consequences. And Jasmine isn't finished. She reaches for a slim notebook, bent at the edges like it's been carried in a backpack too long. This came from a teacher in Alabama. It's the journal of one of her 10-year-old students. She opens it and begins to read. I use the same fork every day. It's plastic. I wash it and hide it in my backpack. The words hang in the air. She wrote that because her family couldn't afford cafeteria fees for new utensils. A plastic fork tells us more than your speeches ever did. Do you know what a child has to feel before they start hiding utensils in their backpack? That's not survival instinct. That's shame learned too early. By now, the entire room is hanging on every word. But the moment that breaks everyone's heart comes when Jasmine pulls out her phone and plays real recordings. Letters from school boards, pastries, food banks, all pleading for help. Voice after voice. We are out of milk for the breakfast program. I'm afraid we'll have to start turning families away. Please, someone in the administration hear us. Then the final slide appears. Number of replies sent, 0. The audience stirs with mutters breaking the silence. Jasmine's voice is steady but edged with steel. It's not just that you didn't answer. It's that you didn't care. As the town hall reaches its climax, Jasmine does something that no one expects. She bends down and lifts something wrapped in clear plastic, a folded American flag, its corners tucked with military precision. She places it gently on the table between her and Trump. This belonged to Ruth Langley's husband, a veteran. He fought for this country, and years later, it's the only thing his grandson has left of him, besides an empty fridge. She looks directly at Trump. He fought for a country that won't feed his grandson. Trump doesn't move, doesn't reach for the mic. The cameras catch the moment, the stillness, the complete absence of response. In her final moments, Jasmine announces the Feed First legislation, mandating emergency food funds in every state. If you can't get behind feeding your own people, you don't deserve to represent them. But her last words are what hit the hardest. We're not just starving for food. We're starving for truth, for accountability, for each other. If we can't feed the people who built this country, then we have no right to call it great. Not now, not ever. She leans into the camera one final time. The question is, will we choose to be better? As the applause erupts and the room rises to its feet, one thing becomes crystal clear. This wasn't just a political debate. This was a moment when truth met power, when empty lunch bags spoke louder than campaign promises, and when America was forced to look in the mirror and ask itself the hardest question of all. What does it mean to be great when your own people are going hungry? The folded flag stays in the center of the table, lit by one soft beam, as if it's the last witness left in the room. In a nation once proud of its prosperity, this story reminds us that true greatness isn't measured by numbers on a report, but by making sure no one is left behind. So here's the question I want to leave you with. If you had the power to change this, what would you do today to make sure no one around you goes to bed hungry?